You know, like someone did ask one of those ones that I said I hate, like, so you could ask it. And basically for my reaction is like, if you were put in a room with foxes that wanted to kill you, how many could you take? I just hate those questions.
Should we put that in and you could say it?
Maybe, yeah. I'm not fucking answering that. I'm not.
Let's just do that. So what is it then?
Because at least I can, it won't be much, but it's like...
Yeah, let's just put it in. Read it out to me.
And this guy asks me a stupid question every single time.
Right,
so
read it out to me.
If you were put in a room of foxes that wanted to kill you, how many could you take? You got the trail shoes one, didn't you?
Yeah, I got that one in there.
Ask Ben when he is bringing you to Halifax to do the Ben 10.
Oh, yeah, let's put that one in.
On Strava, because that links back a bit, guessing that. Like, how and why did you start coaching? I get asked a lot.
Do you want that in there?
Probably not this one, is it? I'll start banging on that. Yeah, I do prefer to run alone or with company.
About music as well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll put that one as well, yeah.
Maybe just put that, alone or with company, and we'll add in the music ourselves.
Okay, yeah.
The other thing is, if we ask one and if one of us need a natural break, it's not a big deal, is it?
No, it's not. No.
Because Chris will just do a whoosh.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Fuck me, I couldn't get the name of the bloody podcast again. It keeps going out of my head. I'm just going to not mention the name of the podcast.
I'll introduce that.
Until episode 20.
What's it called again? Welcome to the RUNcensored Podcast with me, Ben Mounsey, and Gary House. And if you're wondering why Gary's not doing the intros, it's because he's not quite mastered the name of the podcast yet. So maybe in a few more episodes, Gary, when you've remembered the name, you could introduce me. But anyway, Gary, it's new year, new you. How was January? How was New Year?
It was good. Standard answer. Quiet one with the family. That's the standard answer these days, isn't it? But yeah, it's been good, I think. I'm ready for the new year. How about you?
Yeah, same, mate. To be honest, I'm getting old now. Don't really do much. I think New Year for me, don't know if it's the same with you, but Christmas I love and I get really excited about. New Year, I'm not really that into. In fact, I get very depressed straight afterwards. So as soon as we hit sort of January 2nd, that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, what are you waiting for? Spring, summer, or just...
Christmas, yeah. I do love Christmas.
Being able to have a drink without people looking down on you. That's what you wait.
Exactly that. But no, so it's been a quiet one, to be honest, mate. I'm looking forward to like the new race calendar now. So big one for me is Trans Gran Canaria. So I'm doing the 25k. I think you're out there as well.
Yeah. I don't know if I meant to say that yet, but yeah, I will be there. Trans Gran Canaria. In what capacity? Yeah, don't know, but. At the very least, I'll be able to follow Ben round, I think. Yeah,
ready for some sunshine as well. I'm looking forward to that because we went to Corsica last year. That was the first time that we really got to spend some time together. Yeah. That's when the bromance really started. So
was it?
I'm looking forward to...
Before that, it was a bit of an online kind of weird
relationship,
wasn't it? We knew we'd get on, but it wasn't until we hit Corsica.
It's nice to meet in person in real life, wasn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
But it's going to be nice to get abroad again, idiots abroad again, spend a bit more time together, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy some fantastic, trails, because Gran Canaria is famous for its mountainous terrain. So yeah, looking forward to it. But anyway, today's episode is all about the audience asking us questions in what we like to call ChatGPT. So it's chat Gary, Ben, trails, because it's all about trail running. So Gary, I'm going to go straight into the questions, mate. You've actually asked the audience what they want to most ask us, and we've picked some of the top questions in there.
Typically on Instagram, I do this once a week just to interact with the followers. So I thought it'd be a good idea for our first ChatGPT to pick up some of those questions and bring them into the longer format.
First question, and these are all genuine questions. Which of you would win in an arm wrestling competition?
Who asked us that one? We can share that one, can't we?
Jacob Tonkin.
Yeah. Always with the hard-hitting questions.
Straight in with a really...
I can only rely on Jacob. Yeah, and if you don't know Jacob, then you don't know fell running, I guess. But
that's very true. He is all about fell running. He's also got a great podcast as well. So
he has.
That'll listen.
He has. With those tones coming through. But yeah, I'd give Ben the arm wrestle 100%. Yeah.
You reckon? I'm not sure. I think you'd be closer than you think, Gary. I'm not really doing much in the gym. I'm quite lazy in that sense.
Yeah, well...
maybe we could try that one time.
Maybe that is one for the future, maybe on the Idiots on Tour or Idiots Abroad.
Jacob, we'll come back to that. Yeah, we'll answer that in a future chat.
No one's confident yet, let's put it this way, as runners who don't use their arms.
Exactly. It'll probably be a very pathetic affair, but we'll let you know the outcome and the result in a future episode. Okay, we have got a serious question. Do you have different trail running shoes for different terrains and different seasons? Gary, I'll let you go first, and then I'll pick it up as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and I mean, Ben works with shoes day in, day out. We've already established weeks ago that you own the biggest collection in the UK, apparently.
About 75, I reckon.
Something like that.
That's just an ongoing circulation. Do get rid of some, bring some new ones in.
And just running over the years has evolved so much that now, yes, you do have a different pair of trail shoes for different sessions, different terrains, different weathers. And it's one of those things. It's nice to have. I'm in a privileged position where I can have a couple of pairs on the go at the same time. But when I started out, it was one pair, and it was literally, I was running around in my five-a-side shoes on the trails. And to be honest, on hard trails and in the summer, that was absolutely fine. It's only when you start getting into the trails and fells and mountains more that you realise, actually, I need a different grip, or I need different kind of cushioning, or whether you like different shoe shapes. So maybe we can expand a little bit about what your favourite trail shoes are for the terrain you run on.
Yeah, I mean, you've sort of covered everything there, to be honest, because I think with trail running, it's different to road running in the sense that you're going to mix up the different types of terrain. And obviously across the different seasons in the UK, in the summer, I mean, actually, it's probably a bad example. The summer should be dry weather, warm weather, and that's hard trails. You know, the ground is often bone dry, so you would need something with less grip than you would in winter. So for hard and rocky surfaces, I would have a set of shoes that I would go to. And obviously they're the kind of shoes that I would race abroad in as well, because, you know, you're on that similar type of terrain where it's not too wet and muddy. And then I've got kind of like versatile shoes that I wear every day that cross over between the soft and muddy terrains and the hard and rocky. And then in the depths of winter, which is around about now, you need something with a really, really aggressive grip, something that's going to keep you on your feet when you kind of running through the slosh.
Big gorilla nipples, that's what I used to call them.
Gorilla nipples, that's it. We should have that as an actual technical feature, shouldn't we?
I don't know why no one's brought out the gorilla nipple 5.
I think there's a marketing ploy, isn't there? For maybe Sports Shoes could bring out a new shoe, and we could buy that name off you, Gary. That's a great idea. But yeah, you're right. You do need different shoes to different terrains. I've got a massive selection, as I've already mentioned. But I think if you are somebody new getting into the sport, you don't necessarily need to go out and buy 5 different pairs of trail shoes.
Like a mixed terrain one they do now?
Yeah, something like a Hoka Speed Goat or a Salomon Speed Cross, something that's going to go across different types of terrains. I know the Trail Talon from Innovate is one I'm running at the moment, and that's good on pretty much every surface. So you just maybe want one that is going to obviously save you money because you don't need to buy loads, but is going to, you know, go across those different terrains, and you can wear it all the way through the year. And then when you get a bit more serious, you can invest a bit more.
That's it. It's I mean, sometimes it's easy, I guess, for us to say you need different ones for different sections of your running, but ultimately you don't. Yeah, you might slip around a bit in one shoe, but it's nice to start off with a crossover. One that surprised me in the last few years was a Nike Pegasus. And I thought I'd never be running a Nike shoe on the trails, but yeah, and I've run on hard packed trails, I've run on kind of low level fells, that kind of thing, and it actually holds up quite well, and it drains well and stuff like this. So if you're looking to get a shoe that's a bit of a crossover, usually I'll say just make sure it drains well, because a lot of them will say it's waterproof or it's this and that, and sometimes that's not the best thing, because if it holds water, I don't know about you, that's one of my, I just hate it in a shoe.
Oh, definitely. And it's a good point you've raised there, because in winter, if I want to keep my feet dry, I'll go with like a waterproof sock and then a shoe that isn't waterproof, that just drains, because then obviously if it's a high sock as well, the water struggles to get in. But once that water's in a Gore-Tex shoe, it's really hard to get out, isn't it?
Yeah. So for example, now, how many kind of shoes would you have? Call it on, what do the kids call it, on rotation?
Yeah, on a shoe rotation at the moment. I would say at the moment, this time of year, I've probably got 2 or 3, and that's just because, not that I need 2 or 3, you can probably do most of it in 1, maybe 2, but only because I have a pair when I've finished with them, they're wet, and I'll wear it. I like to put a dry pair of shoes when I go out next time. But I'm on in the pretty deep lugs at the moment. Got a pair of mud talons that I'm wearing. And then when it is a little bit drier, I've got a pair of normal Sherags. That's how you pronounce it. That was a tip from Killian. Did I mention I've met Killian before?
No.
Good mates with him, actually. Yeah. We've got him on WhatsApp. I couldn't remember if I'd mentioned it in conversation.
He's the one who taught you Spanish, right?
That's right. Yeah. Impeccable Spanish now. I mean, I'm crossing across 2 different languages seamlessly. And a little bit of Welsh as well. I've been picking up a bit from Gary, so...
Yeah, ofnadwy.
That's work in progress. Diolch.
Yeah, deal. Yeah.
And what's Araf? Yeah, Araf.
Slow.
Yeah, I saw it on a road sign.
So,
I thought it was a place, actually. I thought it was like a town in Wales.
They're all called Araf.
Right,
It's Araf everywhere now, mate, 20 miles an hour. So the shoe thing, it's interesting because at first, like over the years, I would kind of just say, just get one that fits you well and is comfortable and stuff like that, which still rings true. But yeah, there's nothing like mud talon and X talons from Innovate specifically a good one that springs to mind, because if I'm putting that shoe on, I know that I'm probably going to have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm going to get muddy. I'm going to be probably running faster because it's probably kind of like lower profile and stuff.
Massive.
Whereas if you put on a shoe that's a bit bigger and kind of more protection, you're out for a longer day on the not so fun stuff maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think there's almost a full episode on shoes, isn't there? We've got
I almost forgot this was a Q&A then, so sorry.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Don't worry. Next question. We'll lighten the mood.
Hope that's helped.
Have you ever seen David Guest and Ben Mountain in the same room at the same time? That's from Andy Banks in Halifax. I think David Guest is dead. So, but I can see the similarities. Thanks for that, Andy, for that valuable contribution. Gary, you've been injured for the last 10 months. Have you any advice for someone in a similar position?
What a jump around that.
I'm just keeping Gary on his toes.
I was just thinking about one of the best ever Celebrity Big Brother moments when David Guest was dead. And then now...
I think he is dead, isn't he now?
Yeah, I was injured, wasn't I? Yeah, I am still injured. It's it's a good question because I think I always put it down to different levels of injury, because when you have an injury like I had, running is just so far out of your mind. You're essentially trying to move yourself away from pain to normal life without being over dramatic. But I just took each day as it come, but I didn't let any of the days slip by either. So it was almost like, right, what can I do? Can I get out and walk the dog, even though it's going to be immensely painful? Yes, it is. But I'm moving. 2, I'm hopefully doing the injury a little bit better, kind of thing. Obviously, we all know how good just being out on the hill is, rather than I could quite easily be laid up and just watching daytime TV, which I did go through periods of doing as well. But it's just nothing crazy. I'm just not someone who, I try and keep my days no ups, no downs. And then when something bad happens, you're just used to going straight on, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been a long 10 months, but it's also been quite a short 10 months, because like if we were to give you a list, Ben, of stuff we were doing 10 months ago, it feels like it's gone really quick, doesn't it?
Time does fly.
Time does fly when you herniated your back and you can't move. When you've got nerve damage in your leg. But yeah, it was like running, like I was 10 minutes away from surgery. I legitimately got told you're probably not going to run to the same standard ever again. But it was like, okay, well, I can do this. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, my leg is working a bit, so I can go for a run.
Yeah. And I think you put your energy into other things as well, don't you?
Other
aspects of your life, not always running either as well.
Yeah, and it's hard because obviously I've made a career out of running, and then I can't run. What do I do then? And I've been out on events that I've never thought of doing, in terms of like getting the microphone out and just creating stuff that way. So yeah, it's been a different year, and it's been tough. But also what I'd say is if you're going through long-term injury, sometimes it's actually easier than a short-term injury, because I'm obviously not in a rush to get back running.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get out of pain, and then I wanted to move my foot, and then I wanted to do stuff with the family, kick a ball around with the kids in the back garden. That was like step 1. But then as a runner, you're always quickly, like we touched on, now I'm looking at races, and I won't be racing, but I've no doubt now that I'll be racing at some point next year.
Do you find it hard when, I'm asking a question now, this wasn't on the list, but do you find it hard going to races and watching races when you are injured for such a long period of time?
I don't think so, just because I've just been in running so long. I've done so many events. If someone was going to say you have to take a year out of racing, but you'll come back to it, it's like, that's no big deal to me. And because I get messages saying, I've not been able to train for 2 weeks. I'm going mad and all this. And it's like, I just don't know how that feels, because if I have a 2 weeks rest, it's 2 weeks rest.
Yeah.
Obviously 10 months and I've just started running again is a long time. But again, grand scheme of things, it's just a bump in the road, hopefully. Yeah, I'm still young enough to get back into it and all that kind of stuff. So when I attend the races, I've been quite choosy with the ones I go to. It's like, no disrespect, but I'm not just going to turn up at the local park run just to be involved in running. I'm already involved in running. I don't need to scratch that itch. Yeah. But I've done stuff with friends. I've been out to support friends or crew there more work-wise, which was good. Yeah. So no, I've been choosy with the races I do, and it's been great, to be honest. But I am looking forward to putting a number on at some point.
I'm sure it will be long.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. It's for me. Ben, you look incredible for your age. How have you managed to stay looking so young and beautiful? That's from Karen in Grimsby. Well, Karen, this doesn't happen by accident. It's a number of years where I've dedicated myself to a skin routine. I use Man Cave actually at the moment. Face serum, moisturiser on a night.
All right, Gary Neville.
When you're rest.
Tell me about this. Are we getting paid for this?
When you're rest. Good food, lots of running. But yeah, thanks for your question and thanks for noticing as well. It's not often, it doesn't get said often enough. Gary's not mentioned it, but yeah, I do try. Okay, serious question. What is the best race you've ever done and why? Gary, I'm going to let you take this one.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to go first.
You want me to go first? I'll go first. That's fine, yeah. Do you know what? And I suppose if I'm just picking one, oh God, it is hard, isn't it, actually? All right, okay. Can I have two? I'm going to have two. I'm going to have two. I've already decided I'm going to have two. I'd have to say, I'm probably going to have three, actually. Trofeo Venone and Tre Refugi relays in Italy are incredible. I like the whole relay element of racing. I like to run in a team. And I also have picked those two because the atmosphere of Trofeo Venone is immense. It's almost like running in the Tour de France. So you sort of start in a town and you run out onto the trail. You've got a short climb and a really steep technical descent, and then you're back into the town. But I just love the whole atmosphere of that particular race. And then Tre Refugi because the scenery and where it is, and it's in the side of the Dolomites in Italy, close to the Austrian border. It's just incredible. It's mind-blowing. So I go back and do those races every single year. But then the race that's not a relay that's my favourite is the Montserrat Sky Race, which is about 30, 40 miles north of Barcelona. And that is a magical place. I mean, all the kind of the terrain and the rocks are Gaudi inspired. So when you go to visit Barcelona, the cathedral, the Sagrada de Familia.
Gaudi inspired.
Yeah, Gaudi inspired, mate. Yeah, honestly, that's the actual thing. Yeah, he took it's really deep, wasn't it?
Inspired by the rocks.
He was inspired by the rocks. Yeah, actually, yeah. Sorry, the other way around. That's correct, Gary. Thank you for picking up on that. So yeah, it's an incredible place. It's magical, and it's an amazing race. I mean, you're straight into a 1,500 meter climb, and then you've got the descent off the back of it. So in terms of distance, I love it. But that is probably.
And I've not done too many of those shorter, extreme sky races, but from the outside looking in, it always looks like it's a massive community thing. It's the whole village or the whole area is getting involved. It's like that's part of it, isn't it? Memory-wise, that's what you go for.
It's like an investment in the community. I think if we're in Sheffield now, I think if you put a race on here, maybe in a town around Sheffield, you'd get, say, half the people in the village or the town investing in it, helping in it. And for the other half, it'd probably be a bit of an invasion of privacy. It'd be something that they were opposing because they'd not want to park the car on another road, for example, because the route's coming through. They won't get involved. They'd be in opposition. Whereas I think when you go abroad, particularly the race I've done in Spain, France and Italy, they love it. Everyone's invested. Everybody wants to get involved. Everybody wants to be part of it. And I think that's what makes it so magical. Yeah. What about you?
Have three. Have you got any more?
No, that's it. I'm going to give you one now. Have you had time to think? Don't say, is it like a park run, local park run?
No, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I mix in, like, I've got great like some of my best memories from something like a race. It's called Equinox 24-hour race, which was when I was first getting into ultra running, and like in the first one I did, managed to finish second, and I'm going to talk about it in different episodes why I finished second instead of first, basically. But then I went back and won it twice, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and that's take away the winning, which is obviously great, but I've just got such great memories of those weekends. And the race itself is 10k loop on not a most inspiring kind of cross country, but it's more the memories from the community. Like I did that race 5-6 times in total over the years. So that's like core memories of being amazing. And then I've got the other side of things, just like you say, lucky enough to race outside the country, and just at the very last race that I did before the long-term injury was Pika Pika, which is out in Andorra, on the border of like south of France, Andorran mountains, wild, not many people involved, kind of a couple hundred people in the race. And it's a true mountaineer's race. So you've got lots of time on your own, that kind of thing. I was out 30 plus hours, didn't finish. It was my first time I timed out kind of a race, but I wouldn't change it because I went into it not feeling great with my injury, but at the same time, you just 3,000 meters plus for the majority of the time, can't breathe, heat, but just you don't see. I would never see that kind of landscape if I wasn't a runner, and I didn't go for that first run down a canal.
It takes you to some amazing places, doesn't it?
That's it. So like those, I'll say that race, even though I strangely didn't get to finish, and it's the last race I did because that's the one that's fresh in my mind. But we could both talk all day about some of these amazing races.
There's lots out there, isn't there? And beyond the UK. So yeah, plenty to go out. And I do like to do some of the same races again and again, but then also new experiences are fun.
What's this isn't on there, is it? But so you've got one race left to do. What's it going to be?
Dreizinen, Italian Dolomites. I've done part of the route before. It's where Tre Cima, Dreizinen, you've got the Austrian and the Italian.
Yeah.
Amazing backdrop. It finishes at the refuge with Tre Cima, Dreizinen in the background, and wow, I mean, amazing. I'd like to do that, and a good distance from me as well. So it's not an ultra. It's a fast race, but a lot of climb and just those incredible backdrops. So that's top of my list. That's September time.
Happy days. It changes all the time, doesn't it? I guess so the beauty of being a slow ultra runner is like you can go and do a lot of these things, but it's changed over the years. I'd really like to do one of the big 200s over in the US. Never raced in the US. And just like the distance is insane, but also the locations like Tahoe or something, because it's just such a different, and there's Western States and all that kind of stuff, which is amazing. But these ones are just, low key to a certain degree, and it is a community thing, but it's also, again, when would you get that opportunity to see all that stuff?
Yeah, that's such true. Yeah, such a true point. Okay, next question. Any advice on controlling your bowel movements during a run? I feel like this is one for you, Gary, if I'm honest.
Why?
Don't know. I think that you're probably an expert in that field here. I've got a few stories and a few experiences.
Like, I'm a coach. I answer these questions, like I said, a lot on Instagram, and a lot of the time people are trying to talk about food or the bowel movements, that kind of thing. It's just how it is. I'm still of the point of view, which people assume that shitting themselves in a race is not normal, when I don't think it's normal, kind of thing. Like, just because Paul Radcliffe did it on the side of like an insane marathon run, it's like there's reasons why it's happening, and it might be a bit of bad luck, but usually it's preventable. Whether that is practicing what you're going to do on race day in training, which sounds like standard advice, but is that actually what you're doing? Like, are you taking on the same amount of carbohydrate per hour and gels or liquids or whatever as you have done in the race? You can start there. Or I think more commonly is nerves and anxiety, to be honest, or mixing that excitement with that as well. So I know for a fact that the morning of a race, I'm excited. It's an excited feeling. So as long as I have a short black coffee, I'm clear. Yeah,
really,
it'll go straight through. I've never never
had a bad experience.
No.
No.
I've shit in races.
Yeah.
Behind a tree or in woods and stuff like that. But yeah, I've never had it seep through. It's just.
Is there anything you avoid eating like before a race as well, though? Because I remember once I was going down to do a race near to you, actually, in Wales, North Wales, and for some reason I was always hungry, so I called it off at a service station, and I thought having a bag of nuts before a race was a good idea. This is like a long time ago. Anyway, there's a patch of grass near top of Snowdon that's probably grass is never going to grow back again now, I would think. But I've never done that since, and I remember thinking, don't eat nuts before a race.
No. Well, before a race, I've made all the mistakes like we'll probably go into, but yeah, I've made mistakes before a race with bowel movements. Don't worry about that. Whether it's be my first ever ultra race was down in London, and I've been to London on day trips and stuff when I was younger, but I've not really been there for the weekend. So it's one of the most nostalgic, famous ultra marathons in the UK. London to Brighton, I'd entered. Doesn't exist anymore, but all the big names that are my age you'll know started off there or raced there. And so yeah, it was like really cool race to be part of. Anyway, I entered, got down there, and we were in a hotel across the road from the park that it started in London. And obviously there's loads of parks where I live. So when I turn up to the start line 20 minutes before the race starts, and there's a massive queue for the toilets, I think, well, okay, I'll just head back to the hotel. Anyway, halfway back to the hotel, I realised I'm not going to make it to the hotel and come back. And especially with what's happening here, pitch black. I just thought I'll just lay some cable in the park. Kind of forgetting where I am, because if I do that in North Wales, I'll be honest, like nobody's going to catch you. Yeah. But I'd lost track of time. We don't have these new watches, so I didn't even have a watch on, I don't think. Anyway, I've got my pants around my ankles, I'm having a shit, and all I see was an army of head torches coming towards me. So I'd missed the start. But not only that, they had to run across the park to run out. So my first experience of an ultramarathon was missing the start and shitting where everyone was running. So I was quickly up and joined the back of the queue. And there's just one more story that now you put it to my attention, I'll leave you with.
I knew you were the right man to answer this question, that's why.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. I mean, I started off with during the race, don't understand it. Before the race, time, that's why planning is important and knowing what you're doing. Once I was in a race in Sicily, so I'm racing Mount Etna ultramarathon, and it's one of those things, you look at the map, is it an hour's drive away? I'll be fine. Some random start time, 4 a.m. or something. Anyway, this drive took us about 4 hours to get from one side of the island up to the volcano. I was just, turtlehead isn't the word. It was, like key in the door job.
Wolf was at the door, yeah.
Yeah. So I was with Charlotte and a couple of friends, stop the car, pull over, and I just had to hop over the barrier. But I forget again where you are, because it's pitch black, isn't it? And just as I was jumping over the barrier, I'm on Mount Etna. Yeah, I think it's a protected site, so maybe I'm barred from there. Anyway, I'm dropping my load again on the side of Mount Etna just as the sunrise was about to come up. So it was like...
Picture postcard view.
Yeah, and everyone in the car could then see, because it was like light bouncing off my...
Bowel movements sparking off the next volcano eruption as well. Yeah, you erupting underneath Mount Etna.
Yeah, but as long as you get it out before you start, there shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm an ultra runner, so like my races are naturally longer than yours, I guess. Ben, what?
I've loads of experiences. Yeah, I mean, I could do. In fact, we could probably do a full episode on this, couldn't we? But yeah, I go all the time outside. I quite like going outside, actually.
Yeah.
But I usually go quite a lot before a race. So like in the morning, in the warm up, in the build up. I've never, like you said, shat myself yet. Come close a few times, but I'll usually just jump behind a bush or something. I don't like going to Portaloos as well at races, because they're just horrendous. No. So you've got to get there early if you're going to go to Portaloo, because Jesus, like, they're shocking, aren't they?
Yeah. Once you've done a few festivals, you don't do Portaloo.
I try and stay away from those. So yeah, I've had a few near experiences, but never come close to fully embarrassing.
What was the question? Were we meant to give advice on?
Yeah, so advice. Oh, in fact, what is the advice? I think for me, it's avoiding certain foods like peanuts.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd
like
go
you
into
said,
that.
and also getting that coffee in early so you get it out of the way.
Yeah, and if you're not a coffee drinker, then usually you're okay. But yeah, just plan early and don't be scared to get behind a bush if you need to.
Sometimes you got to go on, yeah. Mother Nature calls.
Yeah.
Okay, I live in London and I've entered the ETC race in Chamonix. How do I best train for a race with altitude when I only have flat trails available? So we should say, first of all, that ETC stands for Experienced Trails Courmayeur. It's 9 miles in distance, roughly. I'm looking in miles now. And it's about 1,300 meters, switching to meters there. So yeah, Gary, as a coach, what would you suggest for that then? So somebody who lives on the flat, but obviously is going to a race with some serious vert there.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because again, years ago, people coming to me for help would typically, if it was a mountain race they were doing, they would typically live near a mountain. Yeah. To make sense, I guess. But now more and more with all these big races coming in and becoming more prominent, and people just wanting to take on more, like their confidence, take on these challenges. But I'd say unfortunately, but they live in the city. You have to be creative a bit. I mean, the bottom line is, like, I'm quite famous for saying there's no real substitute for the downhills.
Yeah.
So it's a case of getting yourself as fit as possible. Like the first to the top of these mountain races, like the Snowdon race and stuff, is a good example. In the past, it's been just a really fit marathon runner. That's kind of thing. Yeah, if you can be that. So getting yourself as fit as possible is half the battle, because then the hills are easier, and you're working at that kind of tempo effort if you're a decent enough runner. Other than that, it's like, okay, well, where do I get my strength from? You can go into the gym if you want, yeah, which is always good. But I just think getting yourself aerobically fit is just number one in terms of, especially like the ETC. It's a tough race, but it's not the longest out of the series, is it? To be honest. So, yeah, I think if you're in London, it is being creative. So I've had people doing lots of downhill strides just to stress the quads a little bit more, and I've also had people doing literally hills on like in skyscrapers and stuff, and just like, let's get up the steps, which sounds crazy, but
I think it's a good point though, isn't it? You've got to kind of use what's around you, and that in London probably will be the next best thing, or you would have to travel a little bit to get some serious hills. I mean, it's difficult to replicate those kind of climbs. I mean, I've actually done ETC a few years ago, and you are straight into almost a VK at the beginning.
Okay, yeah. So you're going to
you're going to have to do some kind of hill reps of sorts, aren't you? I mean, you can't obviously do 1,000 meters off the bat anywhere in England, but you'd probably have to go a little bit further to try and get those.
Most people, even everyone that I've coached in London, can find like a 10-second hill for a hill sprint. So whether you're doing more hill sprints than usual, because that is a pure strength exercise, that's always going to help you. Mix them in with the downhill strides. That's obviously going to stress quads a little bit more. You can use. I'm just not a big fan of using steppers and things like this, but you can do. I'd rather than get out. I think sometimes people that live in the city assume that people that live near the mountains are in the mountains all day, every day, and every weekend. When that's not the case, I don't think. Some of them are. They've got that luxury, but a lot of them. Yeah, if you live in a city, if you can get to the hills once a month, that's still quite a big chunk of time, to be honest. And maybe do an overnighter, and you do an evening session and a morning session, and you're still doing okay. You've got to stress the body ideally in a similar way, but it's not the case. You have to do it day in, day out if you don't live in the city.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. We've got another shoe question. I know we sort of covered trail running shoes in general about different terrains, but what is your favourite pair of trail running shoes and why? I mean, we'll sort of keep it short and snappy. If you want, I'll go first on this one.
You go first.
I think I've got one in mind, and it goes back to what I was saying before about having a pair that kind of covers all different types of distances and terrain. At the moment, and it does change a lot, it'd probably be the normal Sherag. It is the one that Killian did UTMB in, but he's also...
Who's that?
Yeah, he's a mate of mine. Don't mention it. Yeah, I've met him a couple of times. Got him on WhatsApp. Might get him on the show at some point. So yeah, the Sherags, because you can do like a range of distances. You could do VK, you could do up to 100 miles in it. It's like a minimal shoe. It suits my foot. It's not got amazing grip, but I think you could probably wear it for most things, and you could wear it for training and for racing. So I think just for versatility, that's probably the shoe that I would go for. But again, it's subjective, isn't it? Like what I like, it's probably not what most people like.
Well, it is, yeah. Mine is, again, I've got great memories of the Solomon S-Lab Sense, those series. I don't even think they make them anymore, unfortunately, but that was your man's Killian original.
Yeah.
Kind of, he was involved with the design of that shoe. And like I ran a 36-minute 10K in it, which I know sounds like I'm being a bit of a bad, but I also ran
that one in there.
Exactly, yeah. But I also ran 125 plus miles in under 24 hours in it, which showed, I mean, the versatility of my Achilles and feet were probably a bit more at the time because I was younger, but just a light shoe that was designed for trail running. It was quite a while ago now, wasn't it? They had a soft ground version, a hard ground version, and I just had a pair of those each. I would run all my speed sessions, all my long distance and everything. And it's times have changed, but that's my all-time favorite shoe. Yeah.
And so you've raised a good point there, and it's not on this list of questions, but I'm sure everybody listening to this will have found at some point a shoe that they really like, and then a brand discontinues.
Yeah, and you lot, well, not you lot, but
yeah, and the industry changes it. But yeah, I mean, the ones I'm thinking of,
same name, completely different shoe.
Exactly.
That's the worst.
Salomon Speedcross 2 was an incredible shoe. I just remember that one standing out. And then also the one for me, Innovate did a Cross Talon 190. It was a blue and green shoe.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like it was the best shoe.
That bright orange one as well.
Yeah, that's right. That came out afterwards. It was that really racy version of a soft ground shoe. I know that a friend of mine called Carl Bell, he used to love that blue shoe.
That orange one I'm thinking of, because again, like fast fell running the 190s, like that's the weight, so you know it's light.
It was a dream.
And I just, like, almost like the knitted material of it. And they would fray by there, but it's like, again, great memories of when I did fell racing up by us. If you're putting that shoe on, you're running hard and fast. You're not out for a recovery run.
Exactly. Yeah. You're dialed in already, aren't you? I think you've got that mindset because of that shoe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carl Bell used to love that same shoe as me, and I know he bought a load off like eBay and probably Vinted just to stock up. I think he's actually bought all the size 10s in Europe now. They don't exist anymore, but it's a real shame when that happens. But anyway, such is life.
Good question, yeah.
It's a good question, that. I mean, we're on 38 minutes now, guys. We've got a few more questions. If we go over, I think what we'll do is save some of these for the next chat GBT, but we've got time for a few more. Do you ever do other sports to supplement your training?
Me?
Yeah, you tell.
Yeah. I do at the moment.
Yeah, you have to play, yeah.
No,
is Vinted, shopping on Vinted a sport? Because that?
No, selling is, I tell you. I don't understand why people, like, I'll put something on there. Like, I'm not a big seller on Vinted before you start hunting down on my clothes. But like, you put something on there for £10, and then you get a message, will you accept £3? No, it's £10. I'm not.
Price is the price, mate.
Yeah, I've started on my listings, just put no offers. People stop buying stuff though. But I don't sell much stuff on there, but if I sell it, it's so that I'm not just giving it away or taking it somewhere. It's good stuff. I just don't understand the whole bartering thing. You could waste a day just going £3, no, £8, no, £4, no. Anyway, that wasn't the question, was it? We'll do a Vinted one maybe.
Yeah. I've forgotten the question as well. So, do you ever do sports to supplement your training, other sports, rather than running?
Yeah. So, when I first got into running, I was a footballer and I played half decent level of football, and I was playing 4 times a week. So running was just as like a side thing when I moved house, to be honest. And obviously it snowballed, and I was one of those people that got a bit obsessed with the running. So I would always just be running. I would run all day if I could at that point when I started getting, and you could see the fitness coming and stuff like this. What happened is when I moved back to Wales, I picked up the odd injury and then got a bike, and then I was like, right, okay, I've done a bit of ultramarathon running. What am I going to do next? And it was triathlon. So for a long time, I was riding my bike a lot, road bike and running. hardly swimming, like most triathletes.
That's the one that always drops off, isn't it?
So cycling was, I was always better at running than the cycling, but I did enjoy being out on the bike. So that's always been something. I've had injuries along the way. I've broken both elbows and stuff, and I know we're going to do an injury episode, so we'll go into that. But yeah, now it's more bike ride for fun. But I love Zwift, because I can sit in the garage and
that's changed the game, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, especially where I live. It's like I can, like, if we've got snow and ice for 2 weeks, I can sit on the bike in the garage and train very effectively. So I've learned over the years not to just hammer myself in terms of running, which I did go through a long period of doing. And yeah, I guess strength training is a different thing. But if we're talking different sports and stuff, it's cycling is the only one that's stayed through. Anything else, not really.
I must admit, I find it hard though to break away from just running. If I've got like say an hour in a day to do some training, I usually will go running, and just because I love it as well. But I know I've got to do the gym stuff. I know I've got to do the bike as well. I mean, I'm a fair weather cyclist, so this time of year I'm not on the bike. I will try and do the gym. It's difficult to get into a routine. I'm sure everybody else who's listening to this like struggles with that.
I think that's just like taking your medicine or brushing your teeth. That's not for people like me and you. That's not. I can enjoy the bike to an extent, and I can. But yeah, I think that sport wise. Yeah, people come to me for running, and they're either triathletes or they're doing all different sports, and it's like, I'm still a performance runner. I just want to run I want to maximize the running, and then everything else is an afterthought, to be honest.
I'll tell you one thing I do though, Gary, is it's hiking. I really like to go out because I obviously walk the dogs. I know you walk the dogs as well, and where we live, both of us respectively, we've got some decent trails and decent climbs around, haven't we? So I think the value of that also really helps with the running, doesn't it? I mean, you know more than me. I feel like it does. I'm no expert, but that's strength training almost, isn't it? You know, when you
100%. Hiking, I've got more into hiking as the years have gone on. Like even being on the edge of Snowdonia, I would go out for a run.
Yeah.
And I'd be running as much of it as possible. Yeah, obviously you're hiking big chunks, but then there's days come on where if I just planning to support a Paddy Buckley or got a big race like out in Andorra or something where you're just hiking.
Yeah.
So me and a couple of friends will go just to hike. Yeah. And then you've got a full day chatting, eating, and with no real goal other than getting elevation in and seeing something good. They're again brilliant days. And then hiking itself, coming out of injury or just with the dog or whatever. We went out in Chamonix and I did plenty of hiking there. And I felt fit when I came home just through hiking.
Yeah, that's true. You can soon build up the fitness with hiking. It's incredible, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think there's always that value put on that kind of extra training that you do when you're out and about. But
what about swimming for yourself? Have you put?
Well, I've got like a leisure complex near to where we live. It's like on like a holiday park. So I've got a gym membership. I tend to, if I'm going to the gym, which is not very often, I will swim as well. But I'll also spend most of the time in the sauna and the jacuzzi. That's more appealing. I just use the pool just to like cool off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do enjoy swimming when I'm doing it. And when I'm doing it, I think I should do this every day, and I just go for a run instead. Is that what it is, isn't it? We've got time for one more question, Gary. Do you prefer to run alone or with company? I'll take this one first if that's all right.
Yeah.
I do spend most of my time running alone, although I do run with the dogs. Is that maybe that counts? I love running with my dogs. Like, it gives me a lot of like pleasure seeing them happy, running off. Usually I'm chasing them because like Pete, one of the dogs, he's seen a rabbit and he's off, but that keeps me fit. I do like their company. I don't tend to run with many people. I enjoy it when I do, but I don't really. I tend to train on my own. One thing I've started doing though is, and I've not always done this, I will listen to, and this isn't a plug for our podcast, but I have started listening to podcasts, and I also absolutely love listening to live football up through the radio. Oh my God, mate, honestly, I love it. So sometimes I'll forgo watching a Leeds game on the telly to go for a run and listen to it. I don't know, there's something about radio commentary, but I've nearly fallen in the canal a few times as well when if Leeds have scored or somebody else has scored. But yeah, I think
not often then.
Not often. Yeah. True point. Yeah, I have no comeback to that, to be honest. But yeah, I don't tend to run on my own. But lately, I've been listening to more podcasts. I've started to not necessarily run my music. not massively into that, but I will listen to something, and that just helps. Like if I'm doing a long run, that will really help me to kind of like pass the time. What about yourself? Do you run on your own or with?
Yeah, I've pretty much, apart from the runs with like we touched on in the past, I've had literally 2 or 3 friends that I'll regularly run with, and they're not like runners that will train through the week. So they're just friends from school. They're pretty much the only people, unless it's an organised thing with specific running friends I've got that we're training for something or whatever. It's just hardly ever, and that's some of it is part of where I live. There's just, I get like, that sounding daft, I was training through the day and training quite hard, so it's not like I'd meet anyone, to be honest. And I just loved going out running on my own, quite happy. But I have always been someone that's that just needs something in my ear. So I've like from teenage years, I've fallen asleep I used to fall asleep listening to like stand-up comedy. Then it moved into like podcasts and things like this. Never music, but then when I go for a run, straight away it was still talking in my ear. So there's probably something deep down I need to get rid of. But it's just I don't think it's anything more than habit. Because if I'm in a race, never, not once. I'll be for 20 hours, 30 hours in a race.
Just immersed in the moment.
Very rarely would I stick something on. I think I've done it once or twice and then just not bothered.
See, I thought it'd be the other way around.
People I've spoke to have said that in the past, but not in a race, just because I enjoy the race, and whether it's atmosphere or the fact that I'm pushing hard or whatever. The odd time I've put earphones in before the start, but I've got nothing going because I just don't want people to speak to me. It's like walking down the street by the charity people and then just but I'll always have a podcast on or something when I'm running, so it's not, and like you, like with the football commentary, I'll put a podcast aside and look forward to like, when am I going for that run, because I want to listen to that.
Exactly. You listen to the football as well when you run?
Not the football, no, I've not heard of that one.
Try, mate, it's great, honestly.
No, I don't worry. I don't want to ruin my run. I'm quite I'm all right with that. But so podcast or music. Music a lot. Like I used to go out with friends a lot more, like clubbing days and stuff like that. So I'm still like a 20-year-old clubber at heart, but I just do it when I'm running. Same endorphins and stuff like that. So if it's a decent run, I'll have some of that music on, or if it's just a podcast run, it's a podcast run.
So you don't really feel like you're running on your own then, do you?
No. The dog was a big thing for many years, my old dog Fergie. So we got her as a rescue at 2, all the way up to about 11 she was. And she wasn't great with other dogs or people and stuff at the beginning. So it was just, I would have to plan routes away from people, but it was just me and her for years and years. So running with a dog, that's perfect, that's enough.
Running with dogs, that's going to be another podcast, I'm sure, because we can feed into that. We could get Jacob Tonkin in on that one. I know he loves his dogs as well.
I've been tripped up by Jacob's dog. Cross path.
I mean, that's all we've got time for this episode, isn't it? So we'll come back to ChatGPT. Other episodes. Remember, if you enjoyed listening to this, you've got to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and we'll be back soon. See you next Tuesday.